Greetings all. On today's video, I'm going to take a little detour. I've had a lot of questions lately, and I thought, time maybe for another little Q&A session. Also, I'd really appreciate it if you watch the video all the way through to the end, because at the end, I've got some information about the up-and-coming Chords of Orion album and how you can help. All right, let's get started. So, I've had a number of questions come in regarding things, guitar types of things, picks, strings, and all that sort of stuff. So first off is picks. Typically when you see me play electric guitar, you will see me using a white pick like this. It is a 1.4 millimeter bluegrass pick. It's made by a company that in English, American English, I would just call it Wagon or maybe Vegan, but I believe it's Dutch, so maybe it's Vegan. I don't really know how you would pronounce it. Maybe somebody can let me know in the comments, but they make really great picks. So that's what I typically use. I also have some 2.5 millimeter versions of this brand pick that I use sometimes. And for acoustic, I actually have a very, very old tortoiseshell pick. Strings! I get questions about strings a lot. So, by the way, there are a lot of great strings out there. The kind that I prefer, it's just my preference. Whenever I can, I like to use Elixir strings. I love the NanoWeb strings. I think it's a good balance between feel, the coating and long life, and the tone. And I actually like the coating because it reduces, especially on acoustic guitar, some of the string squeak. And so on acoustic, I use the Phosphor Bronze and their medium gauge. On electrics, I use Elixir NanoWeb standard light gauge 10 to 46. And on my Fender Telecaster baritone, I use Elixir NanoWeb electric baritone strings, and I think they're 12 to 68. On these PRS baritones that I have two PRS baritones. I actually use D'Addario baritone, and it's the standard gauge for their set, which is 14 to 68, so a little bit heavier on the higher pitched strings. What's my favorite baritone? I have three electric baritones. I have two Paul Reed Smith or PRS baritones and a Fender Telecaster. I really like that Fender Telecaster baritone. I probably should have been using that one because it's got this, it's just the Fender humbucker in the bridge position, but it's got this really dark tone and thick tone that's really, really nice. And so I like that one, but I love these PRS baritones too. And I love both the semi-hollow, which I have here, and also the solid body with the dual humbuckers. I think they both serve a purpose. This one has a little bit more of a unique tone because of the soap bar P90 style pickups, but the humbucker version sounds great, and the pickup coil splitting switch is fantastic. So anyhow, that's some information about guitars. I get a lot of questions about amps and things like that, and I do have some amps. I've got a couple of tube amps. I've got this really cool handmade amp, tube amp. It's actually a 5-watt amp made by a guy in Michigan who takes old tube phonograph players and rewires them into guitar amps. And this amp takes a 6K6 GT power tube. That's this guy right here. And a number of years ago, I bought, okay, I'm geeking out here, okay? Don't give me a hard time. I bought a whole bunch of these guys. They're 1950s vintage French 6K6 tubes, and they sound fantastic. But, I don't use it very often because for ambient guitar playing, I really prefer using an amp modeler. And I've mentioned this on a lot of my videos, but I use an Avid 11 Rack right now, and it's been a great unit. It's got all the basic amp models that you could want, you know, your Fenders, Marshalls, Soldanos, you know, Boogies and all that stuff. And to be honest, I typically use a Fender Vibrolux Reverb model on that particular unit. I'm pointing to it there, you can't see it. And it sounds really good. And I run a couple pedals into the input, typically compressor and distortion, and all the other effects that you see me using on the demos and my performance videos are typically all in the effects loop of the 11 rack. And then I run my 11 rack directly into my computer. All right, so that's the deal on the amps. Part of the reason why I like using it for recording purposes especially is that I can control the volume in this room. I don't have 25-year-old ears anymore, and I'm trying to protect them, so it's a good thing. Another question I get is, Bill, you have said in the comments, and I have a few times, that this is not a full-time job for me. And if you know anything about YouTube, you know that my channel is not near big enough for anything resembling full-time work. This really is a labor of love for me, and I do love it, and I love all of you being here. But the question I get is, how do you find time to do that? How do you find time for the videos and all the activity? And I just want to talk about that for a minute or two. What I discovered, and I think partially through my full-time career, where it has to be very regimented, project-oriented, that sort of thing, at some point I realized that I don't really need to have an entire day free to create something artistic. At some point I realized, hey, if I just spend small amounts of time every day working on my thing, after a month, for example, my thing is going to be a lot further along than it was at the beginning of the month. Does that make sense? So I learned the secret of working in small intervals of time and staying very focused for that short interval, and having something in my mind, an idea in my mind of, okay, at the end of this period of time, I'm going to start out at point A and I want to accomplish B. And then the other thing is, I try not to bite off more than I can chew. If you have any of my albums, Chords of Orion albums, or if you listen to them on Spotify or whatever, you'll probably note that they are sparsely arranged. I don't have lots of musicians coming in. I don't have complex arrangements. Most of the pieces are just me playing one guitar track. And part of the reason for that is that's what I have time to do. So once you kind of get your head wrapped around that, I've found it to be almost magical in terms of getting stuff done, creating works, whether it's music, art, whatever you are as an artist. So I would encourage you, if you're a busy person like I am, to think about that. And then finally, on that note, on that kind of subject of how do you get things done, is be very deliberate in what you choose to do with your time. Think about it this way. You were born, you're going to die, and you don't know when. Most people don't know when they're going to die, right? But you have a finite amount of time. You have a finite amount of energy. Be very deliberate in how you make decisions with that time that's been given to you and that energy that is part of you. And so I do things like choose not to watch TV. I have no moral issue with TV. I think it's a great, it was a great invention. It's provided a lot of value to folks over the years. But if I spend the time watching TV, I can't spend the time with this baby right here. So for me, it's a choice. All right, told you I'd tell you a little bit about the up-and-coming album. I'm working hard on it, and I am actually in the mixing phase right now. It's going to be a combination, probably, I think it's going to end up being 60% songs that you all will have never heard, and then the other 40% will be selections from my ambient guitar meditations over the last year or so. So I'm in the process. I'm shooting to get it out this summer. We'll see how that goes. But there is one way that you all can help me out. I've got actually a slot for one more song on the album. One more song. And I know that I want it to be one of the ambient guitar meditations that I've already posted on this channel. So what I'd like to ask you to do is give me some suggestions. If you're interested in contributing to the album, leave a comment in the video comment section and let me know which ambient guitar meditation, say from the last year or so. So let's say summer of 2016 through the present. Let me know what you'd like to see, what you would like to see included on the album. I definitely would love your feedback, love to know what you would like to see included in the next album. Probably most folks watching this are already subscribers, but you know what? If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to my channel. I've got ambient guitar related content coming every week. I would love to have you be part of this awesome community of ambient guitar music lovers. There are a lot of great folks who comment here. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, I'll see all of you on the next video.